All right, I am here. Sorry, it took me a little longer this morning. I had a visit from a certain aunt that decided to come a little late, so that was what I was doing. Okay, let's see about getting rolling, shall we? I've got cinnamon dolce coffee today, and no viewers yet, so, I mean, there's that, you know. Hopefully I didn't let down anyone. I don't think so, because I didn't see anyone. So, we're good so far. Okay. Okay. I am going to minimize that. And then I need to pull that. The music is very on point today. Not that I'm writing a very dramatic scene or anything, but it's definitely sci-fi fantasy, so it works. Okay. It's just gonna be a slower morning today, it's fine. But my brain is clearer than I was yesterday, so, and I also got started working on editing my chapter 10 after my feedback, so, oh yeah, I'm gonna change accounts. So, that means I have further than I was yesterday. And if anyone's wondering about my outfit, it is not for Halloween. It is instead, I'm trying out outfits for fun, one, and then second of all, to see which ones would work for cosplaying my book characters. So this one I think is going to be more my antagonist or person that you're first introduced to, Adina, just because she tends to be a little bit more flashy and softer colors too. So she definitely would be someone that dyes something pink or finds some pink cotton somewhere. I haven't decided if there's like pink plants yet. I know there's dyes that dye things in my world, but it could be pink cotton. Not that this dress is made out of cotton, but yeah. I just don't have a wig for Adina yet. And yes, I'm blonde, but she has long, curly, golden, like annoyingly golden, like Disney princess golden hair. That's to the point where it's like a bit unnatural that it's golden. Like, what did you do to your hair that it's that golden? Like that golden. And then she has blue eyes, so that makes it easy for me because I have blue eyes. I'd probably still do a filter on TikTok. What am I doing this morning? This is a pretty song. And if anyone's curious about who or where I get my music from, I go to Spotify, I look up copyright-free music, and sometimes I look for like copyright-free soundtracks or copyright-free piano covers, that kind of thing. And there's actually several artists on Spotify that are copyright-free. I would just check their bios because that's what tells you whether or not. There's some that are like literally called Streaming Music Group, which is one of the ones I use. But there's others like what's his name? Ixen, which is the one that's playing right now. And there's also Millennials Melody. She does some really beautiful piano covers. But I think my favorites are Ixen and her. I say her, but it could be a dude as well. I think it's a lady. So, yep, there you have it. So I added a whole scene yesterday, and then I get the feedback from my beta reader, which is my husband, my final beta reader, which is my husband, and which is perfect because this isn't a genre he normally reads in. Like, yes, to sci-fi fantasy, he does read that, but like this is cozy fantasy with a dash of like sci-fi inspiration from Rebirth Fix kind of thing, and that's not what he's definitely not read as many web novels as I have. He's probably like read one or two. So that definitely helps when I need a... Hello, one viewer on Twitch. Is this one of my people that follow me? Yeah, so I totally understand if you don't feel like talking right now, because feels really early. In 1 month in California, the time's gonna change again, and then it's gonna be, or you could be taking a break, like I suggested in the beginning, and you don't realize I'm back yet, which is a complete possibility. My chat room didn't update on Twitch. Sometimes I wish it would tell you if like one of your followers is like the one viewer on Twitch, just because since it's a platform where it's focused on that kind of thing. But I mean, then it's also a platform for like privacy viewing, so I don't know. I have to put oil on my nails because I have a bad habit of like biting my nails or putting things in my mouth while I'm thinking. So I have to put something that smells. I did nail polish one time and that helped, but it was too toxic smelling, and as someone that's a migraine sufferer, that was not going to work long term. So I'll probably do it on occasion, but for the most part, I will put nice long clothes on my fingertips. Oh, that smells good. If anyone is craving like a cinnamon coffee, Starbucks comes out with a cinnamon dolce coffee that's yummy. So anyways, I got feedback back, and then I have his hubby, who's also kind of like my line editor. He's all like, yeah, this scene needs to end with like your main character, point of view character saying more than just like what she said. And I'm like, it's the feelings though. And my problem is I was already trying to keep this chapter low in words quantity, and I already added like a whole page scene, and so I'm just like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh no, this is giving me a long chapter, even though I tried to make it not as long as it. I didn't want like anything unnecessary to be said, you know? I mean, on occasion, you don't follow everything that you're, yeah, it's already at 15:37, that's she just needs to say, but the thing is, she'll ask a question, and then now will be more people talking, and then, once again, the problem of bigger scene, and then I have a bigger scene in a chapter that I was trying to keep down low. Didn't want to put mint on because I have coffee, but oh well. Too late. My other one is a deep dive into my first, and I don't feel like doing that right now. Okay. I need to pull up his stuff. And if you're a new viewer, I am working on Villainess from the Stars for NaNoWriMo. Doing a season 2 for my Kindle Vella novel. And NaNoWriMo is National Writing Month. It is where in November, a lot of writers tried to write 50,000 words, which is like a size of a novella. And there's not like any big prize. Like, I know that sometimes each year they'll have like discounts on like actual like book publishing companies and that kind of thing. And occasionally you'll get a sweatshirt or that kind of thing. But it's mostly for your own like joie de vivre, like your own joy of life, like trying to complete something, a novel. And it's also really great because the writing community gets really fervent during this time. And is fervent the word I'm trying to say? They get really excited during this time. And you'll see a lot of preptober, which is just where we're prepping for our novel in October. And then, what else? Yeah, so last November, I did Villainess from Stars from scratch. and then I wrote about 25,000, almost 30,000 words, and then I continued it until I got my betas to read through the first 4 chapters, and then I published those on July 15th or 16th of this year on Kindle Vella. So that's a serialized novel platform via Amazon Kindle. And so, yeah, that's basically what I'm at. I'm trying to post a chapter each month around the 15th and 16th. So it's definitely that time right now. And then for this NaNoWriMo, 9:50. I am working on finishing my arc 2 and starting my arc 3 of my novel. And then, yep. So I've already outlined on one of these other Preptober streams my, it was only on Twitch, not on YouTube as well. It was actually one of my practice ones to see how it went. And that's where I got my first follower. Yay. What was I saying? I just had a brain fart. Anyways, yeah, I'm continuing that. And now is where I get quiet and you can just listen to the lovely music as I try to figure out how to make this not too. When you start editing in your betas thing instead of your own thing, you're like, oops. I love when you make a character that like literally changes their hair color to suit their environment, so that if you like mess up their hair color when you're like writing later on, of course I've done it each time strategically, but it doesn't super matter because as long as it blends in with their surroundings, it works. Yay! I've got someone! Ooh, a new person! Oh. Well, hello, I'm going to horrifyingly mess up your username, so, I'm not going to try. I'm sorry. But hello, new person. If that's spam, please don't put any more spam. If it's not spam and it's just a suggestion, then thank you. But I prefer not to buy viewers, because I'm not doing this really to make money or anything like that. I'm here to create a community. So, and people that like hearing my voice just naturally, and my face, seeing my face. So, even if there's not another viewer today, that's okay. I'd rather have people that decide to see me rather than people that are paid to see me. But thank you for your advice if it was a suggestion, not spam. Let's skip this song. Ooh, excuse me, sorry. I have loud sneezes. So what are you working on today? My one commenter and viewer today. If you're the same viewer versus commenter. I have a tickle in my throat. Maybe some chocolate will help. Does people like my cup? When I saw it, I was like, that's me in a tea, majestically awkward. Not an ad. I don't know why I have to say that, but it's not. Of course, I did say where it was from, so. Ooh, that combination was really good. If anyone's in the grocery store and they're like wondering what coffee would taste good with chocolate, the dark chocolate from Dove and the Starbucks cinnamon and dolce coffee together, yummy. My favorite weird combination though, because that's not a weird combination, chocolate and coffee, is when I was drinking a peppery wine and then I had some like tiramisu fudge. The two like blended together so well. That and also a same wine brand and hot Cheetos with lemon. That also tasted really good together, which was really weird. Weird things that go well together. Also baklava with that wine. Same brand wine too. Yummy. That one just goes well with everything. But I'm a firm believer that you can match coffee with almost anything too. You just have to have the right kind of coffee. Yeah. And I've gone on a tangent about food, sorry. Sorry, not sorry. This little beat is a little repetitive for me. John, I'm filming. Oh, okay, well, I can still see that. I just was telling you. Take a picture. Oh, wait, your phone's up here, love. You can't hear me. Oh, okay. Oh, well. Was it Simon?
Yeah.
Your phone's right there. I've only had one comment today, but maybe my usual followers taking a nice sleep. Also, by the way, the cinnamon dolce with the Dove dark chocolate. I added one sentence that she does. I think it fills it up. Just kind of like adding a little bit more just Vienna Ezzy. Instead of like her just like giving her a look. You might see a cat walk behind me, and it's because this is pushed against I want to say balustrade, but I don't know if that's the right word. We have like an upper level, like we have one of those zigzag staircases that have like a landing and then goes up to the next one, and then we have a separate little platform. Library. Whoever we bought the house from made like a semi little library in here, and so which was like one of the selling points of this house, honestly, the high ceilings and the staircase leading up to the library. I mean, we were bookworms that were in love immediately. But anyways, there's this balustrade right behind me, and you might see Simon. You might see a little kitty come over here. I don't know if he was in shot when he did that, but he likes to sleep on the other side, so he might come with us. What are you doing, buddy? Yeah, we love our kitties. We named them after Firefly characters. They're both boys, and it's Simon and Jane's spelled Jayne. And whenever someone says that's a girl's name, we have a little chuckle because that's a line from Firefly. So we did that on purpose. Yes, we did. Also, when I was holding Jane in my arms, I was just like, I want to like say like have like a cool like almost nerdy name, and he didn't feel like an Eric, so I couldn't call him Eric. And I feel like Eric would be a dog. I know that's weird because like at least in K version of Phantom, he has a Siamese cat called Asia, which I might have called him, but he was a boy, so that didn't work. Not that Asia couldn't work for a boy's name, but I didn't feel like it was canon, so I didn't do it. And then he didn't have any sort of mask on his face, really. I mean, except for the normal Siamese look. What? They don't like closed doors. And then, so I just was looking at him, I'm like, what happens if we call him, we call all our plants that eventually die, but like names from the characters in the story. And we almost got, there was this electric called the Leaf, and then it was one of that cars we were looking at for me when I was shopping for cars ages ago. And I was like, what happens if I got a license plate that said Leaf on the wind, and and then called the car Wash? And John said that would just be sad. And I was like, okay. I just thought it was so perfect. But the car itself wasn't like a good car, so it was like one of the first, hybrids. Not even a hybrid. It was just an electric car, I think, at the time. So it wasn't really practical. But it was a good thought. It was a good idea. So, but yeah, I thought Jane was like the perfect name for my Siamese. And so that's what he's called. He's called Jane. And so we have so much fun when people accidentally quote River and say, that's a girl's name. We just have a ball of fun. Just a ball of fun. We always crack up, and then we have to explain the whole thing. When you explain a joke, it's not as funny all the times, but sometimes. This one is not migraine friendly, so you'll come out of the playlist. Excuse me. Finding migraine-friendly, copyright-free music is kind of hard, though. Because it's really, a lot of it is high-pitched. And then it will have those, like, sounds. And that's not always nice for those of us that can't do weird sounds. So I like the concept of lo-fi music, but it doesn't always translate into music I can actually listen to. Alright, so I think I'm done with this scene. That means I can check what else he said about this. Dazzled. Oh, did I put... Looked up dazzled. Where does it say? Oh, that was back in this scene. Okay, let's see. Add more. This is going to be a longer chapter than I think. One viewer on Twitch, what are you working on today? If you don't feel comfortable telling, that's fine. Not trying to, just being friendly, curious. Oh, hello! Yay! One of my subscribers came on. I guess it was her all along. Possibly. Actually, I don't know if they are. I'm gonna say they to be safe. Actually, I should ask that. What pronouns do you prefer to be referred as? And I'll try my best to not say what I assume from your username again. Ooh, you're working on a couple chapters. Nice. I am, as you can see, working on 10. And it's becoming longer. It wasn't longer before. It was like a nice, just even 1,000, but then my husband's like, yeah, this is showing, or telling instead of showing, and then I had to fix it. And then it became like 1,500. So now I have to write some more explanations, internal things, and I'm like, this is going to end up being close to 2,000, and I was trying not to do that. And there's no way for me to shorten it without it having a filler scene in a chapter. Hey, sometimes you work out of order and that's like your thing. I know for me excuse me, when I'm kind of doing outlining I will write full on scenes in it. But in my head, they're not the full scene because when I end up writing it, I end up changing it a little bit. And because by the time I get there chronologically, I've gone into the voice of the characters more. So that whole scene could change. But there's some scenes I really hope won't change too much. But I feel like at least some ways of them will be changed because I think some of them were written in my voice rather than the character's voice, so we'll see how it comes. Right, and for me, I always have the horrible like empty page syndrome where it's just like a white page and you're just like, what? But writing inside like a outline or something like that always helps me. They is probably most accurate. Okay. I will try to remember they. She might just slip out accidentally because for some reason names that end with an A, like in my brain, maybe it's like learning Spanish and then learning French. I don't know. And then learning like the rules of other languages. I don't know. But then my brain slips in certain things. I love how easygoing you are. But I guess you wouldn't be following me if you didn't find my ramblingness, so that works. That's true. There's not a lot of A. Of course, one of my later characters is called Atlas, but that could be also a gender neutral name. I feel like I've read a book that had a girl named Atlas. But to me, it sounds more like a guy's name. I guess it depends on the connotation and what story it is, because I feel like Atlas could sound very feminine depending on where it's placed, but then Atlas could also sound very masculine depending on where it's placed. For me, Atlas is just meant to be a name for its meaning rather than its gender in my story. If that makes sense at all. I think it did. When it came out of my mouth, I think it made sense. Last book was 27,000 words. Okay, it was nonfiction. Was it poetry or a short story maybe? Oh, I said, because it was 27,000 words, I was wondering if the book, and you said it was nonfiction, if it was poetry or a short story. But then I said short story, and there's not a lot of short story nonfictions. Actually, that's untrue. But you know what I meant. Oh, cool. That sounds fun. Maybe I'm one of the few people that find that interesting, but you've obviously find it interesting. But I've always been fascinated with the mind and how the mind works. Probably why I like a lot of villainous characters like Loki and Alexander and the Phantom of the Opera is I'm fascinated by how their minds work. But I don't like straight evil. Like I like when they have layers, because to me that makes it more sense. I know there are just bad people, but to me the more interesting ones are the ones that have layers. Oh, neat. Origins of Thought. Cool. I have this whole naming sequence later on in the book. It's actually in season 2, and they're named usually after like inspired by their abilities. But I'm worried that some of them are going to sound very similar because there's a lot of A names, and then EA or E. Like I have Aeolus and then Aerolus, and they're a pair. They're husband and wife. And I'm just all like, after saying them out loud, I'm like, okay, they don't sound as much similar. But then when I was reading it, a section where their names were, I was like, if you're just reading it, it could seem very similar. Yes, exactly about straight evil. Usually it's because, yeah, of other factors that are attributing to it. Yep. I've been always very in touch with emotions and always very instinctual about people ever since I was little. So maybe that's also why I've never I always see the other side of the story. But then at the same time, I've always had good instincts about, I wouldn't say the true self of people, but possibly when their motives are not positive. Like, the worst is when I have friends or family members and they're married to a certain someone, and for the whole time I've just had a bad feeling, and then I'm like, please let this just be in my head, and then it's not right, please, and then it ends up being that I was always right, and I'm just like, I hate being right. But it's not something that I can talk to the other person about, because it's always someone that's I have not a surface relationship with, but not a deep conversation. And then how would you even start with that? I would just be checking in on the person, honestly. I'd just be like, hey, do you need anything kind of situation? But, that was a bit of a ramble. I've also had a hard time because I haven't had a bad life. And I feel like when my friends were going through things and I tried to impart wisdom to them, it was like they'd totally ignore me, because in their eyes, my background was protected and that kind of thing. And so whatever advice I gave was useless to them, which was never fun. Especially when you're you give them a suggestion and be like, this is just a suggestion for this situation. And then they go and they make the mistake, and you're just like, it's you kind of get a glimpse of how it is to be a parent and telling your kids not to do something, and then they immediately do that thing. But it's just one of those things. Yeah. The mind is a fascinating thing. It is. It can be terrifying sometimes, but it's fascinating. I always found it fascinating. I actually thought I might become a therapist or a psychologist, but the thing is, I am horrible at keeping secrets. So bad. Every friend that's ever gotten mad at me for not keeping a secret, I had told them ahead of time that I was bad at it. So bad. It always comes from a place of love that I tell other people, but it's never malicious, gossip or anything, but man, oh. So I wouldn't make a good therapist or psychologist, because you have to be discreet and not tell other people about your clients. And that, I mean, I would end up telling at least my husband, and that's still not good. So you're not supposed to do that. So yeah. Yeah, I've definitely been very empathic most of my life. I would say I had probably intuition when I was younger before I kind of like grew into my emotions, and then it turned into like even stronger empathy. So, yeah. I have some interesting stories about that. Like, I mean, I'm getting on a tangent, but in the area that I lived, there was this series of murders that happened. And when I was younger, my dad also had this very good intuition about people too. And we were at like the normal farm supply in our town. And I guess my dad had met this guy before, because like the guy came up to him and talked to him. But it was always like when we were at this like farm supply place. And and my dad's like, get in the car, just get in the car. And so I just like immediately obeyed him, because like it was that instinct where you're just like, I need to do this. And when I was in the car with my dad's truck, I was watching through the window as he talked to this person, and oh, the instincts were just like firing, like horrible, like bad, like, Dad, don't talk to this person, it's not a good idea. And then later on, like literally a week later after that conversation, that he went up just to talk about farm supply, and he was like a friendly guy, but you know, when you're like, this friendly is not the right kind of friendly, yeah, it was like that situation. And then we're like watching the news, and that guy's getting arrested for like the serial murders, and we're just like, my dad and I just looking at each other, we're just like, he's like, we met that guy. I was like, yeah, I know, Dad. I was not feeling good when you had to talk to him because he was being friendly. So yeah, when people don't believe that I am instinctual about things, I tell them that story, and I'd be like, yeah, so I got it from my dad, who's also very instinctual about things, for reasons, and it does, my little antenna does work. I don't have an actual antenna, I'm just saying, as a description. So that's a weird story, but occasionally I will tell it to friends, and now I've told it to you, the internet. But anyways, yeah, instincts are interesting things. I'd love to read a book on psychology about instincts, because I know there's the whole like fight or flight instincts, but I'm curious about the ones that are just like perceptive about other people. Very curious, like the psychology, the science behind it. I know a lot of people kind of get in mysticism, and I don't want to hear about that. I want to hear about the psychology part, science. Your reaction is like, oh my, oh wow, oh yeah, that was I was probably, I can't remember how old I was. I was at least 8 when it happened. It was, yeah. But my dad would always listen to my instincts, and I'd always listen to his. So that's one of the really good things that my dad was like. Emotional motivations. Yeah, I can get that. Because like I said, I had a very protective childhood. So like I didn't go on my first sleepover until I was 13. I'm excluding family from that. Like my first sleepover that was not a family member. And at that time it was not even like my friends' houses. It was literally like a older friend of the family that my dad knew very, very well, like knew who would come to her house, knew her husband very, very well. Like it was very protected. And that was just because he had some rough times in his past. And so he wanted to protect me to the T. Perhaps sometimes I was too protected, but I don't know. I think it's partly why I have good instincts about things. So, we all have things that we wish we could change, but I wouldn't change my instincts because I'm sure they will save my life one day. Alright. This was a fascinating conversation, but I probably should finish editing my chapter. Because I ramble way too long about things. I hope your chapter writing goes well. Oh, my coffee's not warm anymore. I'm getting used to wearing a corset, and I have to say, of course, this is more working like a, what's it called? Stays rather than the corset, because corsets will go underneath clothes. Stays go above clothes. So, I guess I should get some writing in. But deep conversations are just so much fun. I've always been like, I'm not a small talk person, but I love deep conversations. That's probably why I ramble so much when there's not like a physical person responding back to me in front of my face. I know you're a physical person. Wow, I am getting awkward. Well, you already knew that going in, so. I've always wondered if Sherlock looked at me, like what he would say. I'll leave it at that. Like what sort of like psychoanalysis, like if he could guess everything. I know he's a fictional character. I am aware of that. I'm just curious. And I'll leave you at that random thought. I shall turn up the music. How to give this explanation. I spell adult sense. I'm almost out of coffee. Might need to get more. Myriad too big of a word. I try to keep my words simple. I like that word though. Okay. Guess multitude could work too, but I don't know. Myriad seems softer for some reason, but then more like professional or like, I don't know. Works better for him, I think. Yes, yes, it rolls off the tongue. That's what I was thinking. And I already had so many like bigger, kind of like stockier words, like ridged and boulder like, that I felt like myriad just like was floaty. have done a suggestion where he liked that though, but... Excuse me. you think the phrase someone swallowing heavily, or like just swallowing like in a like heavy moment, is used too often? Because like when I'm looking at these phrases, I'm like, is this used too often? I feel like she hasn't done it specifically. Like usually she sighs or she holds her breath or that kind of thing. But I've been trying not to use too many phrases that are like used too often. Yeah, I try to use that phrase, she choked a bit on the moment, before, and then I got several feedbacks from my beta readers that that wasn't the right phrase, or that I had to reword it, so. Maybe she swallowed and took a large breath, because you know that moment where you're like, or do you take a breath and then swallow? Maybe. You swallow and then you take a breath through your nose. Okay. I lost my book that has my timeline in it, so I have to remember. Pause a moment to contemplate, then inhale before continuing. That is also possible. War was at least 500 years. I'm gonna say it's nearly 1,000 years now. Sorry, had a surprise cramp that was not fun. Alright, I think I finished this chapter. So now you get to see me upload a chapter on Kindle Vella, which I think you said that you had been, that you were hoping to do a Kindle Vella for your current novel, if I remember right. Oops, too far. Yeah, I did that as well. But since I knew that Villainess from the Stars was going to be really long, I thought best way to do it would be a serialized novel. Plus, it's the way I had written it was to be a serialized novel, so. Or a web novel. Alright, here we go. What I like is they have Grammarly built in, so anything that your line editor might have, or yourself might have missed, you can easily find it and fix it in this. And then it also tells you the tone of your writing too. But I used to use Grammarly. They didn't tell me the tone before, so I thought that was a new feature. Jane, why are you meowing, little one? My cat is just meowing. I think he's just meowing at a closed door. Nothing's behind it except clothes that you want to snuggle into. I need to make an update that she turns 9 in this chapter. Turns 9 years old. I have like an outline thing where I keep track of the ages. I love being able to use rocks, like different gemstones, for descriptions for like some of these characters' eyes because of the race that they have. Because their race works with stone and kind of look like stone sometimes. So it works perfectly into their whole visage. Ooh, excuse me. Jitters. I always get jitters even after editing and everything for posting. Are you sure you want to publish? Yes. Woot. Now I need to update my chapter board. I forgot to write down how many words I had. Just do it the manual way and go through the doc itself. Always forget. It looks like I did do it correctly on the right hand side when I made the heading. It's good to know. I'm stupid and not stupid, but I keep on clicking outside of certain things and then I'm like, oops. So this month is done. Woot. And then I still have 3 chapters for them to be edited or betaed back for me. Yay! I don't have to stress about that anymore. Keep exiting out of things accidentally. Alright, 4 more minutes and then I'll finish up the stream for today. And then on this Sunday, I will release on Twitter my new schedule for next week. It depends on how tired out I get over the weekend, usually, to find out whether or not I'd be able to do morning streams or not. But it wouldn't be like that much later, because it would probably be 10:30 if it wasn't 9:30. Since I have some chronic illness, not fun stuff, I have to release a schedule each week rather than like for a whole month or something. I'm going to do Art Breeder for one of my stories. Exactly. Something can change. I could get a migraine that wipes me out. And then it's more fair for you guys that, you know, follow me if you have like an actual schedule that is as, you know, close as I can get it. Where are you? Am I gonna have to go to the pin interest? I have to do the pin interest. So you totally understand. That's good. Alrighty, so it looks like we hit the 2-hour mark. I'm gonna go ahead and, sorry, keep on stretching. I'm gonna go ahead and close the stream for today. I'll try to release the schedule as soon as I can on Sunday. We have some family stuff to do over the weekend, and I'm not sure how that's gonna affect my energy levels, so we'll see how it goes on Sunday. Thank you for joining.